Alright guys, here we go. First off, get your Geography Now merch at geographynow.com. It's not selling out if it's your brand. Anywho, as you know, I'm working on the next country episode. However, as you know, I have to upload stuff on this channel because I don't want to leave it empty for too long. So I figured this is another time for another filler week. So the last one we did was the Netherlands with my buddy Alka. So it's time to switch up the continents again. I figured since I'm short on time, I should probably do a country that doesn't have too many subdivisions, like maybe less than 20, yet has a large population, and it might be interesting to my subscribers. So as you know, India is the largest Asian demographic of viewers on this channel. However, we already did the Indian states and territories video. So I figured, well, their neighbor only has 7 subdivisions and a lot of my subscribers are from there. So why not? Today is going to be Pakistan. As we already explained in the Pakistan episode, in case you missed it, because I know some people don't watch every episode, the name Pakistan was coined by this activist, Chaudhry Rahmat Ali, as an acronym referring to the homelands of the Pakistani people. P, Punjab, A, Afghania, which is basically the northwest province area, K, Kashmir, S, Sindh, and the Stan comes from Balochistan, or the southern province. Allergies. Later, the I was added in Pakistan just to make the name flow better. So instead of saying Pakistan, Pakistan. Pak is also a word both in Urdu and Persian meaning pure. Basically, each province and territory in Pakistan has their own unique story and culture. They each have their own flag, incorporating green fields with a different emblem. Now, the national language of Pakistan is Urdu or Urdu, which is pretty mutually intelligible with Hindi, spoken in India. The only biggest difference is that they write in a different script, and there's some slight differing words and phrases here and there. Also, keep in mind though, every ethnic group has their own language, and usually Urdu and English are used interchangeably between each ethnic group, so 2 official languages. So anyway, let's jump into it. Let's start with the provinces. Starting with Balochistan, capital Quetta. This is the largest province in area, making up about 44% of the entire country's landmass, mostly situated in the arid, earthquake-prone, mineral-rich Baluchi Plateau that extends all the way to the Arabian Sea, as depicted by the camels and mountains in their emblem. Although area-wise it is the largest, it is the least populated of all the provinces, with only a measly 12.5 million-ish people. The largest group are the Baluchi people, which the province gets its name from, who are actually Iranic, not Indo-Aryan like the majority of the country. They are cousins to the Persians, as well as the Pashtuns and Dari peoples found in Afghanistan. Baluchis come from about 150 different tribes and clans. They are the only province that has kind of like a secessionist movement with the objective of establishing a Baluchistan state. They even have their own flag and everything. Although it's kind of died down in the past few years, it's still kind of ongoing, and things get a little more complicated as China has invested millions in helping build the Khyber Port on their coast. The Pakistani government has worked with Iran to deal with this. It's complicated. I'm not going to get too far into it. If you are Baluchi or somehow knowledgeable on this topic, I implore you to, explain more in the comments. But in any case, on another side note, they are actually home to the Brahui peoples, whom are the northern and westernmost Dravidian peoples on Earth. For those of you that aren't aware, most Dravidian peoples are in South India. Nobody quite knows how they got there. Sociologists speculate that maybe it was from a time when Dravidians were more widespread, or they migrated from South India sometime in the past 2 millennia. Nobody really knows. Anyway, next province, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, often abbreviated to KP. The capital is Peshawar. This is the Swat River Valley province with extremely beautiful mountains and home to the Khyber Pass and the Bab-e Khyber monument as depicted on the flag. Now, historically, this area was a vital part of the ancient Silk Road and was a strategic military choke point for empires throughout history, like the Persians and even the Mongols. The name Pakhtunkhwa, meaning the land of the Pashtuns, Pashtun, which is the largest ethnic group in this area, making about 3/4 of the population, basically the same as the ones in Afghanistan. The interesting thing is, parts of the province, as well as parts of Balochistan, used to be 2 extra separate administrative divisions, formerly known as Fatah and Pata, or the federally administered tribal areas and the provincially administered tribal areas. Eventually, in 2018, the 25th Amendment of Pakistan's constitution merged them with either Balochistan or Khyber, oh my god, it's hard to say that, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, giving the provinces full control. This means that besides the Pashtuns, there are also some other ethnic groups like the Hindko, the Saraiki, the Khowar, and so on. It also has the famous Kalash Valley with the Kalash people. We talked about them in the episode. They practice an ancient form of animism and Hinduism. They also have those unique houses on the mountainside. It looks really cool. This place used to be a stronghold of Buddhism, as evidenced by their many artifacts and ancient sites like these. Aside from all that, they have 7 national parks with breathtaking views views. It's just wow. I mean, those Hindu Kush mountain ranges, man, never ceases to amaze me. Next one, Punjab, capital Lahore. Punjab meaning the land of 5 waters, referring to the 5 main tributaries of the Indus River as depicted on the flag. This is the second largest province in area and the largest in population, with over half of the entire country's population in this province alone. And it's also the world's 5th most populous subnational entity. This province pretty much acts like the machine that keeps much of the country running, as over a quarter of the entire country's GDP is produced in this one province. It is the most fertile and industrialized of all the provinces, producing everything from crops to textiles to electronics and vehicles. So many famous and popular sites of Pakistan are in this province, like the UNESCO sites of Rohtas Fort, Lahore Fort, Shalimar Gardens, and the Taxila excavation site. You also have a bunch of monuments like the Minar-e Pakistan monument, the walled city of Lahore, Nur Mahal, Faisalabad has some cool stuff, just so much more. Punjabi peoples are the largest group, making up about 60% of the province's population. They are the same as the Punjabi peoples that you can find in India. The only difference is the religion. You know, in Pakistan, Muslim, India, Hindu mostly. However, in regards to Islam, Sufism is way more popular here than in other parts of Pakistan. After that, you have the Saraikis, making about 30% of the population, and they're kind of like a fusion offshoot of like a mixed half cousin of both the Punjabis and Sindhis down south. It's, yeah, like they have a degree of mutual intelligibility and grammar that applies to both languages and groups. It's Saraikis, there you go. In any case, long story short, Punjab is like the kingpin and final boss of Pakistan, and maybe second boss. We'll get to that later. Sindh, capital Karachi. You've probably heard of that city. If Punjab is the final boss, then Sindh is like the second in command bodyguard. It is also the super fertile end of the Indus River, where it empties into the Arabian Sea as depicted by the crops on the flag. Sindh is the coastal powerhouse. Like, yes, I know Balochistan also has a coast, but much of their culture and cities are concentrated on the inland parts. Sindh is home to Karachi, the largest city in Pakistan and former capital, ranked as a Beta Global City, Pakistan's premier financial and industrial center. It plays a huge historical role in trade and global interaction as the largest port city. On that note, it is also home to Karachi Port, the largest in the country and one of the largest in South Asia, where about 60% of the nation's cargo is handled. Today, it is the city of lights with a vibrant nightlife, and it is also Pakistan's fashion capital. The province is also home to many notable sites like Shah Jahan Mosque, relic of the Mughal past. Yeah, he may have built the Taj Mahal for his wife, but this was his mosque. There's also Faiz Mahal, these ruins and tombs and forts. There's just so many things going on. You can even see thatched huts, like traditional thatched huts in the desert. Long story short, Sindh is like the gateway to Pakistan, and Karachi is like the New York of the country. So those are all the provinces. Now let's go to the territories. So this is where things get a little complicated, because 2 of these territories lie in controversial areas we already discussed in both the India and Pakistan episode. I'm talking about the Kashmir region. Basically, after partition, both India and Pakistan had disagreements over who would administer what in this area, which is why every time I put out a map of India or Pakistan on Geography Now, I have to make sure that I have a serrated line and a colored highlight over the claimed and administered areas that apply to each country. You know what I'm talking about. Today, Pakistan has 3 territories, and they are as follows, in alphabetical order. Azad Kashmir, sometimes called Azad Jammu and Kashmir, or AJK. The capital, Muzaffarabad, bordering on the line of control on the other side of what India administers as the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which has a whole other controversial thing when India upgraded to the Union Territory status in 2019, and that's a whole other story. But anyway, it is the only administrative entity that doesn't put an emblem on its flag. The flag represents green for Islam and the gold canton for the religious minorities, mostly Hindu. The white stripes are for the white snow peaks of the mountains and the green stripes for the valleys. Despite being small in size, it has a high population density with over 4 million. And despite being called Azad Kashmir, or Free Kashmir, the population are mostly Jammuite, mostly speaking the Pohari Potwari language. They are mostly Muslim, and although politics are a little complicated, most of them are okay with integration into Pakistan. Azad Kashmir, like the other territories, has a level of self-governing status. They have their own prime minister, assembly, high court, and they manage their own tax affairs rather than Pakistan's Central Board of Revenue. Nonetheless, the Pakistani government is heavily involved pretty much in everything else, as they are literally on the disputed border with India. So of course, you'll notice a heavy military presence in the area. Otherwise, this area is part of the lower Himalayas, so you have the fertile mountain valleys, the snow-capped alpine peaks. The Neelam Valley is picturesque. Rati Gali Lake, historic sites like these. There's these forts and old city ruins. It's amazing. A lot of cool things here. Gilgit-Baltistan, capital Gilgit, formerly known as the Northern Areas and referred by the UN as Pakistan-administered Kashmir. This is the northernmost part of the country and the least populated out of all the entities, with only about 1.5 million people. The government of Pakistan initiated the Self-Governance Order in 2009, giving them things like the right to an own assembly and council, which gives them de facto facto semi-province-like status with government provisions without actually constitutionally being part of Pakistan. Basically, the Kashmir dispute kind of forces both India and Pakistan to make technical moves like this. It's complicated. This is the Himalayan territory as depicted by the imagery on their flag. You have the mountains, the Deodar cedar. The two quadrants have the Marhor, the national animal of Pakistan, the mountain goat with the cool swiveling twisted horns. And K2, the tallest mountain in Pakistan and the second tallest in the world, is located within this area just on the border with the Chinese-administered Trans-Karakum Tract. It ends at the Chaqchan Glacier, or the biggest no man's land on Earth, where India and Pakistan converge in a complicated mountain pass that nobody dares to make the first move. Otherwise, in regards to the name Gilgit-Baltistan, keep in mind there is no specific Gilgit ethnic group. Gilgit is just the geographical term. There is, however, a Balti ethnic group with their own language, hence where half the name comes from. Now, despite the low population, the territory is actually quite diverse in ethnic groups that are referred to as Gilgit people. You have Indo-Aryan groups, Sino-Tibetan, Indo-Iranian groups, and a strange language isolate community, the Burushaski. They can be found here too. And although the majority of peoples here are Muslim, it's the only area in all of Pakistan that has a Shia majority. However, it's really interesting because in this area, it's kind of like they mix Islam with Tibetan culture. You can see it in a lot of things like the architecture. You have the high white walled fortresses like this one, or the wooden arches of the Chaqchan mosque. They celebrate a harvest festival. They have so many traditional dances. They even have like a sword dance. They love playing polo and eating chapchor, which is like a meat pie. So, it's like traditional Tibetan stuff creeps its way into the lives of these people as well. Otherwise, before the 14th century, this place was predominantly Buddhist, and today lots of ancient Buddhist historical sites like these are around. You can see them. Beautiful Himalayan landscape and valleys. And the last territory is Islamabad Capital Territory, which is literally the capital city. It has its own federal territory status, not much different from like New Delhi or Washington, D.C. It has about 2 million people in the area and was deliberately built to replace Karachi as the new capital in 1960. Land was transferred from Punjab to build the area, and it's divided into 5 zones, 2 for urban and 3 for rural development. Most of Pakistan's state-owned companies are based here, like these. It has Faisal Mosque, the national and largest mosque in the country, 5th largest in the world. It has the most prestigious university in Pakistan, Quaid-e-Azam University. The largest airport in Pakistan is also here. And although it is kind of like a hub for all Pakistanis, Punjabis are the largest ethnic group here. I mean, shocker, it used to be part of Punjab territory. Lots of important monuments and buildings are here. It's the capital, go figure. Yeah, it's basically trying to grow into a big deal. Overall, the capital. So there you go, the provinces and territories of Pakistan. As you can see, there's a huge emphasis on each area maintaining their own distinct cultural identity, while at the same time adhering to the notion that they are all Pakistanis at the end of the day. Yes, there's a bit of complication when you go up north, but in the end, they know who they are and they try their best to just live their lives. But yeah, this was a fun video. Glad I made it. It's always fun to do an administrative video because it's good to break down countries into the subdivisions and see how they all kind of come together as one, but have their own distinct identities. I love doing that. It's like a mini country within the world. I love how our world is kind of complicated like that. I love complication. It relaxes me, It makes me feel like I'm not bored and stagnant. And Pakistan, definitely not short of anything that's complicated. Hope you guys stay tuned for the next country episodes. We're coming close to the end. And in the meantime, just hope you guys have a good one. Stay cool, stay tuned.